The internet is like an iceberg. You're floating on top right now, watching this video on YouTube. That's the surface web, the visible part of the internet, the tip of the iceberg. Beneath the surface, you'll find the deep web and the dark web. Today, we'll dive into the differences between these hidden layers, explore what you can find in each, and share tips on how to stay safe if you decide to venture below the surface. Let's start with the biggest misconception. The deep web is not a scary place. In fact, if you've ever checked your email, paid a bill online, or logged into Netflix, you've used the deep web. The deep web is simply any part of the internet that search engines like Google, Bing, or DuckDuckGo cannot index. Google can't show you your neighbor's private Gmail inbox. It can't show you your bank balance. Why? Well, because these pages are hidden behind authentication walls, login forms. Think of the surface web as the public library. Anyone can walk in and grab a book. The deep web is the private study room in the back. You need a keycard with a password to get in. And if you try to use Google to find what's inside that room, the door just says access denied. It is estimated that the deep web is 400 to 500 times larger than the surface web, but it's mostly boring: databases, academic journals, corporate intranets, and your cloud storage. It's not illegal, it's just private. Now, tucked inside the deep web, there is a tiny subset called the dark web. If the deep web is a private study room, the dark web is a secret tunnel behind the bookshelf. You can't just walk in with a normal door key. You need a specific tool to get in. The primary way people access the dark web is through a network called Tor, which stands for the Onion Router. Why an onion? Well, because Tor protects your privacy by wrapping your data in layers of encryption, like an onion's layers. This encrypted data is then routed through at least 3 randomly selected computers around the world, ensuring your online activities remain anonymous and secure. These computers are called nodes. Node 1 knows where you came from, but not where you're going. Node 2 knows neither. Node 3 knows where you're going, but not where you came from. By the time your request reaches its destination, it's nearly impossible to trace back to you. This anonymity is the foundation of the dark web. And because of that anonymity, websites on the dark web don't use normal addresses like .com or .org. They use the .onion extension. So, what are people actually doing on the dark web? To be fair, we should split it into 2 categories: legitimate use and illicit use. In countries with heavy internet censorship, like China, North Korea, or authoritarian regimes, the dark web is a lifeline. It allows dissidents, journalists, and whistleblowers to communicate without fear of government surveillance. Platforms like ProPublica, an independent non-profit news organization focused on investigative journalism, actually have a .onion site that allows for secure, anonymous tips. But let's not soften the reality. The anonymity that protects a journalist also protects a criminal. This is where you find black markets, like the now-defunct Silk Road, where people trade in drugs, weapons, and stolen data. It's also a haven for scams and malware. If you go to the dark web looking for trouble, you will find it. And more importantly, it will find you. Now, if you ever access it for legitimate reasons, there are a few safety rules you should treat as non-negotiable. Never use your host operating system. Do not browse the dark web directly from your everyday computer environment. Why? Well, because your host operating system is where your real digital life lives. Your personal files, saved passwords, browser cookies, email sessions, documents, and work data. If something malicious happens, that system is the one at risk. That is why you should isolate this activity by using a separate environment, such as a virtual machine or a privacy-focused live operating system. The goal is simple: if something goes wrong, it should not touch your real system. Never maximize your browser window. This sounds strange, but it matters. The size of your browser window can be used as part of a technique called fingerprinting. Websites can observe details about your environment, such as screen resolution, window size, fonts, hardware behavior, and other subtle characteristics, then combine them to make your browser more unique. The more unique your setup looks, the easier it becomes to distinguish you from other users. Keeping the browser at its default size helps reduce that uniqueness and makes you blend in better with the crowd. Never enter personal information, ever. It's tempting to use your real identity in certain situations, but doing so can expose you to significant risks. Your personal data can be sold, stolen, or used to track you down, negating the very reason you're on the dark web in the first place, anonymity. Always avoid sharing any personally identifiable information. Even seemingly harmless details can be used against you. So, let's wrap it up. To summarize, the surface web is the part of the internet most of us interact with daily. It's everything you can find on Google. For example, websites, blogs, social media, and more. It's the part of the web that's visible, accessible, and where most of our online activities happen. You can browse it without any special tools. The deep web is everything else. Your email inbox, online banking, private cloud storage, and other password-protected or encrypted sites. It's vast, essential, and completely harmless. You use it every day, but it's invisible to search engines like Google. There's nothing to fear here. It's just a part of the web you can't access with a standard search. The dark web, however, is a small encrypted corner of the deep web. It's often misunderstood and can be both a force for good and bad. For a journalist in a repressive regime, it's a vital tool for freedom of speech and secure communication. For someone unprepared or inexperienced, it's a dangerous landscape rife with malware, scams, and the risk of being tracked. And that's it for today. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next episode. Bye-bye!